Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video, I'm going to talk about, you know, vitamins, minerals, elements, right? Because when we look into health, right, and, let's take the instance of the reason that makes you think you need to go and see a practitioner, whether that's a medical doctor, whether that's a naturopathic doctor, or any other form of practitioner, right? What is the underlying intention, reason why you went to begin with? And usually it means something doesn't feel right. And I'm really going to emphasize the word feel. Okay, something's off. You can sense that. You can feel that through the body. Okay? And, we've been really looking at this aspect of the role of the body as a form of discernment in its own right. And its discernment is really generally on how things feel. Okay? And we know that the body is expressing, according to this 4 domino effect that Truly Holistic uses, which is a protocol, a process that gives you an understanding of how your own creative process forges the fabric of your reality, but at the same time how it correlates with the expression the body provides you, the experience you have through the body, which we're talking about as symptoms, right? Whether that's the difference between wellness and vitality, or unwanted symptoms in an illness, right? Okay, so when we look at this aspect that we go to a practitioner because something's not right, because we don't feel right? We don't feel well, okay? And then quite often, especially with a medical doctor, you might get blood work done. With a naturopathic doctor, you might get a hair analysis done, which is going to come back with a range of a number that they are measuring towards a therapeutic window they want that number to be in, right? And I guess we could look at that therapeutic window as that aspect of balance, right? Because if it's a little bit under that or even over that therapeutic window, then there's an issue, right? It's, in their opinion, that's an issue. Now, what I want to emphasize with that diagnostic is we're working with numbers to try and differentiate and explain something you feel, right? And that whole dynamic of using that form of diagnostic doesn't come through feel or the heart. It comes through thought, through analytical means. And generally when we discern out of analytical means, right, from thought, from the mind, which is compartmentalized, cerebral, it doesn't align with feel. Because they're two different forms of discernment, and what we find here at Truly Holistic, they are 2 separate and different pathways. So we can easily misinterpret, misunderstand what is felt through the body through using another form of discernment like thought. And this is what I see across the board all the time. Okay? Quite often with clients, when they get, have diagnostic work like that done, and then get this label, which is called a diagnosis, from that practitioner, which is really just a perspective, a viewpoint from that practitioner and what they believe that person has based on the symptoms, based on those numbers that are coming from their diagnostic means, such as a blood test. Now, how that connects into, like for the hair analysis, right? You check all the minerals, you check all vitamins and all those sorts of things to see if there's a deficiency. Got to realize that even with that, we are dealing with numbers, right? I used to work on a hospital, right, on a ward, and especially on the medical ward, they'd do a ward round and they had to have computers in front of them. Or a majority of the ward round was then looking at numbers, depending on blood tests, depending on all forms of analysis. And then the least amount of time, they're actually with the patient. Right? And remember, this all started from the patient being there based on how they feel. A feel is not necessarily going to be shown in numbers, in what comes from a thought process. Okay, this is a very important distinction to make, right? So a lot of people come to sessions with me asking, okay, can you look for a deficiency in a mineral or a vitamin I may have, right? And now my personal journey was, before I got into this energy stuff, I was into nutrition, I was into diet, I was into supplementation. So I studied that to the nth degree, right? And even, in herbology or herbology and so on, and superfoods and those sorts of things. Now, I had all the supplements known to man, right? And superfoods sourced from all corners of the world, right? Which came to very expensive to do. And I've got to say, since I've let all that go and gone through this process, right, of realizing what I authentically am and how I facilitate that, I don't need to take any of that stuff anymore. I don't need to rely on superfoods. I don't need to rely on highly mineralized foods. I don't need to rely on supplementation, whether I'm deficient in a vitamin or mineral, because I just go based on my discernment, which is always the discernment involved, how I feel. Okay. And when we really get to the core of what a human wants as part of their life, right? What do they want as generally their heart's desires, right? And I'm going to emphasize the word heart because the extension of the heart is feel. It's not thought, right? The mind is thought, heart is feel. So generally our heart's desires, right, is to have joy, to feel at peace with ourselves, to feel loved, happiness. Now, all those things are not discerned by thought. They're discerned by how it feels. Again, coming back to feel. Right? And what I see that as the human, all of us, we have been conditioned to use the mind and its thoughts as our autopilot main discernment of what we perceive and how we react to what we perceive, which is not feel, it's thought. But the body is providing an expression to you to bring an awareness to you, and it's not based on thought, it's based on feel. Okay? So since I've got out of that whole number game, just get out of the mind completely and drop into the heart and be in my heart, which is to facilitate more of what I am, which is everything at the quantum level. Because when we bring everything through our heart, that comes from the quantum, and quantum means everything. Okay? Now the mind, where it comes from, is the void, and void means nothingness. And this is why generally as the human, when we perceive that, we feel like we lack something, right? If something's not right, straight away we immediately conclude that we must be lacking something. Well, lacking means you're lacking something. You're at a void of something, right? Which is an extension of where the mind comes from, which is the void, which means nothingness. Now, when we decide to no longer embody the mind, right, which is really what meditation provides us, right? To get to a meditative state, we must bypass the mind and the thoughts to drop into our heart, which then provides our natural state of being, which opens the heart and provides that everything, which means you do not, and from that viewpoint from here, you realize I never lacked, right? And what I mean by that is, we've created this map, which is called the Ascension Map, right? And this is your reality here, universe, which is made up of a full spectrum of frequencies. Now, you as a soul, because that's what you authentically are, okay? The body's in play, the mind's in play, but they're not what you are. You utilize this body as a vehicle, as an interface to have an experience here for a particular purpose. But when this expires, you continue, because your authenticity and infinity is you as the soul, as a consciousness. And this whole makeup of this tree is your soul, as you as a consciousness. And each reality that your soul is bound and connected to, it's spliced among, is a spectrum of frequencies in its own right. Your multi-spectrum frequency is your makeup, which found within here is the building blocks of every mineral, every element, every nutrient that we know of. So you have that within you. So what I'm saying here is when you learn the ability to open the heart, master the ability to keep the heart open, you're presenting the building blocks of every element, mineral, nutrient known. Right? Because coming back to our heart's desires, right? Peace, joy, love, happiness, and so on. We've got to realize that we do not get well through suffering. Right? Because suffering is not presenting our heart's desires, so hence it's coming from the mind, which is that void, that nothingness. Now when we get in the heart, if we are living a life that makes us happy, because again, it's a discernment of feel, right? It's making us feel good. If you just go by what makes you feel good, happiness, you must see happiness as a nutrient. Because it's allowing you to drop in your heart, open your heart, and facilitate spectrums of frequencies that are very much the building blocks of everything that is found in the elements, the nutrients, the supplemental world, the essential oil world, you name it, superfood world, medicinal herb world, it's there. It's there. Okay? And this is what's enabled me, right? I don't have to take supplements. I don't look for superfoods. I don't look essentially for medicinal herbs because I know what I am and I know what I'm capable of, and I know that the discernment that provides the clarity, the joy, peace, and happiness that I'm looking for, and I know you're looking for, is when I provide the facilitation of where I come from and who I am, which is through the heart, through feel, not mind and thought, but heart and feel. Okay. Now, this knowing, what I'm talking about right now, is what led me to making and creating the broadcasting system, right? Which is a self-empowering system I created, which originally used the sun ring, but we have many broadcasting tools that we can implement with that chart system or that healing system, right? As a transitional system, right? Self-empowered transitioning system that you can purchase that uses your knowledge, your knowing in that physical world, right? The supplement world of the periodic table of the elements world, right? And the minerals, essential oils, crystal energies, crystals, hormones, medicinal herbs, digestive enzymes. But then facilitating it energetically, using the knowledge of those, but now learning, right, that you can facilitate the building blocks, which we call the unique energy signature, which means the consciousness of those physical sustenances. You can do that yourself. And once you get into doing that, and you all of a sudden let go of the physical sustenance, and you realize I can do this myself, which is the very definition of empowerment, right, and enlightenment, then you'll never go back. You've opened the door that you can never go back to where it was before. You are evolving because you're realizing the power of what you can provide and what is possible when we use this pathway, this network we call a heart-filled pathway instead of the mind-thought one. This is the one that's trying to limit you all the time and tell you that that's not possible. How can that be possible? When the heart is all about providing a space where all infinite potential can become a reality. Right? So, and I get it, I understand clients are asking, am I deficient in a mineral, am I deficient in a vitamin? They're coming from a level of knowing that they're at, and I get that, I understand that. But every time we go to that, this is the answer I get that I'm explaining in this video, is this aspect, because essentially most sessions, right, at the core of most issues that my clients come for me to work on is, we need to get their heart more open because it's usually closed up. We need to work on their place of attention, which is that first step of action of providing what they're discerning, what they feel in their heart, what their heart desires, and implementing that and forging that reality that then reflects their heart desires. And when we do that, and then we come to the point of looking at, okay, what minerals this person deficient in all vitamins, we don't need to go into it because we've facilitated the very avenue that's going to provide the frequencies, the building blocks of every element, mineral, nutrient, know it, to be facilitated in the body. So the body has everything it needs. Right? And I always say to that my clients, when we get the heart open, you bring forth everything that you are and everything that you need. Because you're that powerful. You're that expansive. Okay? So when I say just in this reality here where you are, your full potential just in this reality, don't worry about the rest of the tree, is a full spectrum of frequencies. Right? You've got to realize that, for example, let's use the example, why does magnesium provide a different role in the body, and it just provides different healing abilities compared to calcium, magnesium, calcium, is because on that spectrum of frequencies, magnesium's over here and calcium's over here. So they might incorporate a bunch or a few frequencies on that spectrum. It's like, when you're dialing a radio station, if people remember doing that, right? And you've got to dial it and get it right on there so it's nice and clear, like the radio station, you can hear the music going. And then if you start to phase off, then it gets all, you lose the clarity until you get to the next station. It's like that, right? So you're dialing up and you hit the mark, oh, that's magnesium. You dial over here and you come over here, oh, there's calcium. But you've got to realize that, that's not a full spectrum. Right? If you facilitate your full spectrum, your full potential, there you go. There's the building blocks for magnesium, for calcium, for sulfur, for oxygen. All these other things that the body requires in its holistic form. Okay? Because if we feel like, we need more of this, it's all compartmentalization, where we're not working on the whole. We're working on the parts. And the heart never sees it that way. That's what the mind does. Okay? And we get into so much trouble a lot when we do become specific, because we zoom in on a specific thing so much that we lose sight of the bigger picture. And all you have done is actually just increase the imbalance in the body instead of bringing everything into balance. And balance is the key when we're talking about those. So I hope you really enjoyed this video and learned something from it, provide some great insight. If you would like to buy the broadcasting system, which is a fantastic system, it's on my product store at trulyholistic.net/products/broadcasting system. If you'd like to book an appointment with me for either quantum ascendance healing or reality coaching, go to my appointment page at trulyholistic.net/appointments/ where there is an app. You can put your time zone in it and it will show all the times that are available in your time zone that you can book an appointment that serves you and works for you. And then we do the session through things like Skype or Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp. Find a platform that will work for you and we can go ahead and do the session. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and push the notification bell to be notified for the next video. Until next time, catch you later.